We are going to get started with Takes on Tech.
Hey guys, it's great to talk to you today. Thanks for taking the time out.
Of course.
It's a pleasure.
So I guess at your stage, if you both have long careers, and of course you, Eriq, are a well-established TV director, what drew you to this, and what do you think this has allowed you to expand in your careers as far as being on call?
I think both of us, even though we came to this project from different from different entrances. Laurie as an actress, I came in as a director first, and then an executive producer. But it's funny, we got there the same way in the sense that it was the script, it was the compelling writing, it was the fact that Dick Wolf is behind it, and that's such a respected brand. And I was honored to sort of be charged with the task of bridging the gap to streaming, because this is the first streaming show that Dick Wolf has done. So now we've got to edge it up over the network stuff. But however we got there, it all started with a fascinating script and stories and characters. So we come from that, even though our responsibilities were different. I think I speak for both of us, I believe, when I say the great writing, the character stuff is what drew us. Because the same thing that I'm attracted to as an actor, I'm attracted to as a director. I get maybe some other things of tone and visual storytelling that actors, but it all starts with character, dialogue, storylines. It all starts there. So
yeah, and for me, Bishop was such a different role. I've never played a character like this before, so I was so happy to be presented with the opportunity. And Eriq was instrumental in bringing me on board, and it was great fun. She's a very strong, badass character that I've never played before, and it was just joyful to play the role.
I don't think we hear the same language that Bishop's used in some of your past roles by any chance.
Yes, Bishop has some colorful language, which I just loved. I loved it.
It's such a freedom.
It was totally freeing. No makeup, wearing a uniform, hair back, no highlights. Like, it was all just it was great. It was cathartic in a way. Leaving the girl next door behind.
Same for me. Like, yeah, no highlights, that was, I told you, we came the same way.
We got rid of our highlights and our nails.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Cherry the Geek, you're next.
Eriq, I spoke to Tim and Elliot earlier today, and they said that you were hired as the director first, and then at some point you approached them and said that the Sergeant Lasman is a character that I think I can play. I want to play him. What was it about that character that appealed to you? And do you as a director have to adjust your style when you're directing yourself on screen? Is Eriq La Salle, the actor, difficult to work with?
Yes, but he can also be cheap too, so I can afford him. I don't know so much that you change your style. I think the style that you aspire to, and I don't want to sound pretentious, but the style that you aspire to truth. And so that doesn't change. As an actor, you aspire to truth. As a director, you aspire to truth. Sometimes you come up short. Sometimes you don't get there as much as you want to. Sometimes you really get there. That's always the goal. So there was an opportunity. We were going to. We had made an offer to Michael Beach. Who's a great actor, and happens to be my best friend, and we were all excited about that. Something happened there, and then the role, he couldn't do it, and so I was like, hey, I'll jump in and do it. I mean, by that time I was so in love with the project, overall, to be able to do more, and I like I said, I like to give a lot of props to Jason Bateman for what he did on Ozark, of doing all three, the trifecta, and that just planted a seed of fantasy for me, and a seed of hope that, wow, you know what, I want to do that. And obviously he did it on a bigger scale because he was the lead of the show, but I thought he did it so well. I thought he handled all of that so well And there was a seed that had been planted years ago, and here was an opportunity to do that. And I was blessed to do it, and feel honored and very proud of what the results were.
Thank you.
Sci-fivision, you're next.
Hi, thanks for talking to us today. Can you talk a bit about what the prep was like for this? I mean, did you talk to other cops, go on ride-alongs, that kind of thing for both of you?
We did both go on ride-alongs, yes.
Yeah, that was sort of the foundation for every actor did that. And then, like I said, actors have their own way of preparing and what, how they do, but that part everyone did, and it was extremely helpful. And we did, I think, 8 to 10 hour shifts, and the writers did multiples. I had done ride-alongs, throughout my career here and there. Lori did one personally just because she wanted to go and use it. Yeah, so
yeah, and I thought the ride-along was very, very helpful. One of my takeaways was, we're all just humans, and I think that's one of the main things that we try to hit on in this show is that we're all just human beings doing the best that we can do. And I was really struck by how these police officers, first and foremost, want to protect and serve. And what I noticed is on the ride along is that they'd get out of the squad car and they had relationships with people, in the community. They would walk up to, a group of guys standing on the street. They knew their names, they knew about their families. And I was really surprised and touched to see that there's a genuine relationship between the cops and the community.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Age of the Nerd, you're next.
Hi, pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Same here.
So, we spoke a bit just about how very realistic, very raw. It's good to show that has a very gritty feel to it that you don't always see in a lot of other, police dramas that are out there today. Is there something that you hope audiences will take away or understand? Because you mentioned that you did both do ride-alongs and things like that, and I'm sure there's definitely some misconceptions of things that we don't see all the time.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we keep saying this. We just want to, as actors and directors, we just want to tell good stories. We want to present interesting characters and relationships and the dynamic between people. And these characters happen to be police officers, but honestly, they could work in a hospital. It's really character driven. I think the show. And I think people will tune in because it's high stakes and it's a lot of action. But I think they'll keep coming back because of the characters. Although I will say what they did visually, I think brings the audience in as another character member, how they were able to use all the different elements of camera work I can't speak to it, but it's amazing to watch. Eriq can tell you all about it.
Yeah. And that's, I think if you say, what's a big thing we want the audience to take away and what makes us different, you guys do so many of these shows and people kind of get on and talk about the same thing. But I think we have an advantage because we do have a very unique show. And part of the appeal is we want just as we felt so immersed in the day and the life of being a police officer by doing a ride along, you're literally sitting right there, you're answering the calls, you're right there. We want the audience to feel that. And so we want the audience to feel what we felt in our ride along. We were like, whoa, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of adrenaline. And when I went on my call, we had a lot of calls in a 10-hour shift, a lot. And to the point where I was forgetting at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that we had done at the beginning, because cases were bigger and bigger and calls were bigger. So we want the audience to feel that. And that's the major advantage that I think this show has with the style. And that's the goal, is to put the audience sort of in that car on those calls. And then the other thing is seeing the humanity of it, because we're not here to comment on what is it to be a cop and pro cop or not against cops. We're here to present these multi-dimensional characters that like Lori said, could be doctors, could be firefighters, could be anything. They happen to be cops. So let's take you on an honest journey of what that is, whether you agree with them, whether you disagree with them, whether you like them, that's not up to us to decide. We're just here to present what we see as the greatest truth and the closest thing to truth that we can get to make you feel like you've done a ride along. You've spent, and after each episode, you've spent time with different calls and you're exhausted. And I think that that's a cool thing about the show.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Portskeeda, you're next.
Hey, so I love the show. I love your performances. My question is, both of you are such established actors. Was there something when you guys worked together that you loved about the other person's acting style and what they brought to their individual characters?
Well, Eric and I had the good fortune of working together in the early 90s. We did a TV movie together. So we've known each other for years. And that's always nice when you have a relationship with somebody. It's like a bit of a shortcut.
Yeah. Especially when you like that person.
Especially if you're a bonus.
but for me, selfishly, in knowing Laurie, in liking Laurie, I felt, as putting my director hat on, I felt it would be really cool to cast someone that you don't see it coming. Like there were some other names that were put out there. There were some other people that were so obvious in their choices, and it wasn't anything fresh, and they would have turned in a good performance. But I felt from the beginning, if we had Laurie, that you don't see that character coming, and then that can kind of keep the audience off guard. Like, whoa, okay, what's next? And to me, part of the key of great storytelling is always staying ahead of your audience as the storyteller. So I think when you see certain actors, you know what they're going to do. They've done this a bazillion times. We've never seen Laurie like this. And so I thought, selfishly as a director, that's the kind of thing, because that just puts you, on your toes, where you're like, this show can go in any direction because I'm seeing things that I haven't seen before.
Thank you.
Nerd Reactor, you're next.
Hi, Loughlin Eriq. For the you mentioned the ride-alongs. I want to know for each of you if there's like the one thing that stood out, like wow, this happened, or this call.
Like I said, for me before, the ride along, what really stood out was the relationships, like the human aspect, the relationships that the police had with the people of the community, how they would get out of their squad car and walk over to them and know their names, know about their families. I mean, there was some excitement. There was a domestic violence case we were on, and what I really took away was the humanness of it all. Just people living together, trying to help each other out. Just being trying to be decent people.
Yeah. And I think that there's different type of copping, or policing, I should say. And it was just interesting to be with. I rode with this badass female cop who I think has influence on Troy and on our female characters here, because it is, what Laurie plays a badass, Troy plays a badass, and this cop, but it was cool knowing she's a badass, but I also saw a gentle side of her. I saw one of my first calls with her. She saved a toddler that had wandered out of the house and was missing, and we rode around and we finally found them, and there was just such tenderness, and she picks this baby up and she calms, it's toddler, and she calms him down, and then after we return, she's like, we got to go back to the station because she was just covered in urine. But she never broke. She treated the family with dignity. So there are different ways to police, good and bad. And so me being in that situation, to see that up close, definitely shaped how I wanted to sort of show a balance or show the humanity. And again, I'm not here to convert people to say, oh, you must like cops, you don't have to like cops. That's not what I do. I just want to present the multi-dimensional aspects of any character, and the ride along helped us to get a better perspective of those dimensions.
Thank you.
All right, Nerds That Geek, you're next.
Hi, Loughlin Eriq. Again, thank you so much for your time today. It was such a pleasure to talk to you today. We've heard a lot of passion in your voice today. You both turned in amazing work when it comes to this first season. And I'm just curious what each of you most proud of when it comes to what you put together this first season of storytelling.
Oh my goodness. I'm proud that the role is so different. And I think the moment which was impactful for me was when Eriq screened a rough cut of the first episode for me. And I came on screen and I was sitting in the screening room and I stopped and I was like, oh, wait, that's me. Like, and to not recognize myself for a moment, I don't know how to describe it. It was just, I don't know, it just gave me such a sense of satisfaction that I had taken on a role and done it, in a way that I was unrecognizable to myself.
And there's so many cool experiences. I'm it's when you talk about being proud of a show, it hits you in different stages. There are moments that are quick right away. You, as a director, you give a note, you see an actor flourish from that note. You see them grow. You're proud. You do a scene, a challenging scene. You get finished with it. Wow, it came together. You get into the editing room. So there are all these stages of pride, but we are now collectively going through another level of pride because as many times as you guys, the press, do these things, what we have gotten today overwhelmingly is your enthusiasm for the show, your appreciation for the show. Like so many of the people that have interviewed us, they've already binged the show. And some people, they watch one show, they show up, they ask a couple of ready-made questions, but just knowing even now there's a sense of pride, a different kind of pride today that we didn't have yesterday because we haven't had these interviews and we didn't know how engaged that you guys would be and you and your colleagues would be. And so we're experiencing all kinds of pride. The trailer dropped yesterday. We're proud of the trailer. We're proud the artwork dropped. We're proud, so it's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, we've got one last question with Fangirlish.
Hi. So, Eriq, you've done obviously a lot of writing and directing within the Wolf universe. I wanted to ask you what maybe you brought from that you realized, you've got a Law and Order episode coming up. What did you bring from that or bring from here to that just clashed with each other difficulty-wise? And then Laurie, kind of in a similar vein, what was your biggest challenge doing this role that was so different?
Well, I think for me, because it is such a different role, my first day on set, I was very tentative, and it was just leaning into my power and my strength. And like Eriq said, you're unapologetic, and he was really there to guide me as a director and help me shape the character. And I was timid, and I kind of would push the envelope, or so I thought. And he'd be like, that's it. That's the direction. Now we're going to go a little bit more. And I do another take, and he'd come back, we're going to go a little further. And I was like, okay. And then once he helped me find that, and I got comfortable, and he gave me confidence to lean into, the badass part of me. Then it really came together for me.
Yeah. And that's it is. It's the stages of the creativity. And I think going in with a fresh mind and open heart of just what you want to accomplish as close to truth as you can get and as much of truth as you can get. And we find that in different ways. My job as a director is to push the actors for truth, to help them to have the courage. Like Laurie said, it was the tentativeness at first, but then just, one of my favorite moments is when you see an actor just embrace things courageously. To see an artist just, unapologetically courageous and just say, that was the tone of the whole show. We were trying something so different in how we shot it and the style and taking chances. There's a good chance we were going to fall on our faces. There was a good chance that, with anything that doesn't have a formula, that's new, that's different. When you're trying to do something, you can fall on your face. And there was that danger, But the beautiful side of that, the flip side of that danger is the reward of when you do accomplish it. When, Laurie gets to play the kind of character that no one has seen her play, or people don't think of her and don't cast her in that way. And then now all of a sudden, some of these people have to rethink those choices. Some of these people are like, well, she has that in her. Well, as an actor and as an artist, I've never seen her play it, but I recognize the potential to play it. And just like the Wolf Camp recognizes my potential to direct different types of shows, to tell different type of stories, to get different type of performances. So each thing feeds itself. If I do a Law and Order episode, a FBI episode, when I used to run Chicago PD, all of that stuff just helps me to become more confident, more courageous. And then it's my job to pass that courageousness on to the people that I work with in front of the camera and behind, because I want to infect them with this enthusiasm and this passion for the art and for truth, and just to say it's okay. And we may fail, maybe we'll fall, maybe we'll stumble, but I don't really look at it as failure, because we're trying something different and something true and something cool. And here we were rewarded with the success of the results, and the fact that people are responding to it so well. That's the reward.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That is all the time we have.